Good afternoon and welcome back. A couple of years ago I took my first queen rearing class. Before the class I was 100% intimidated by the notion of raising my own queens. After the class I was only 50% intimidated. This spring I again took a queen rearing class through my local bee club. I finally figured out that raising your own queens is not only easy, but also a lot of fun. Marking a queen, however, remains one aspect of the job at which I am still a klutz. I just can't seem to be able to grab the queen between my fingers and get a dab of paint on the thorax. I'm really not sure why. Maybe I'm afraid that I will somehow damage the queen. Maybe it's that buzz she makes when I grab her. Maybe it's that reptilian part of my brain that still is overly cautious about getting stung when I grab a bee. Although I have never been stung by a queen, and I've never even talked to anyone who has. But there you have it. Having a marked queen is really a good thing. Not only does the mark make finding the queen a lot easier, it's a good way to keep track of her age, and you will definitely know when she's been superseded. Then one day I discovered a queen marking cup. This gadget is basically a tube with a screen on one end. A foam-covered plunger gently holds the queen up against the screen so that I can dab her with paint. It really works slick. Now I can mark the queen in less than a minute. Gone are the days of stressing me out, and more importantly, stressing out the queen. This simple gadget is worth its weight in queens. Making a queen marking cup as a workshop project has several things going for it. First, it is quick. The entire job will probably take less than 10 minutes. Second, you can make a perfectly acceptable queen marking cup out of recycled and scrap material. That always appeals to me. So let's get started. I've made a queen marking cup from a large container, which had its previous life as a grated cheese container, a small medicine jar, and a medium-sized medicine jar, just like Goldilocks and the Three Bees. The cheese container was a bit too large. It was hard to get a snug fit with the plunger. The small one was, perhaps, a bit too small. The medium-sized one, however, was just right. So the medium medicine container is the one that we use today. I've also made marking cups from the tops of the containers and the bottoms of the containers. I kind of like the idea of having the screen in the lids so that I can remove it. However, both ends work just fine. When you are looking around for a container to use, try to find one with a lid that has a double lip on the inside, such as the one shown on the left. The inside lip makes installing the wire screen a lot easier. If you don't find a suitable container at home, then visit your local recycling center. There you will see tubs of them and surely find something that will work. The medium-sized container we are using is 3 3/4 inches long and 1 3/4 inches in diameter. The first step is to cut the container to a length of about 1 3/4 inches. I'm using a band saw. However, any fine-tooth saw, such as a hacksaw, would work just as well. After we cut the container, we need to clean up the edge with a bit of sanding. On the inside of the lid, I am tracing a line about 1/8 inch inside the inner lip. Using this line as a guide, I can then cut out an opening using a utility knife. After you're done, you might want to smooth out the cut edge by sanding, just like we did with the container. Use any small piece of number 8 hardware cloth and cut a circular screen that will fit inside the container's lid. Then run a small bead of silicone inside the lid and press in the screen. The plunger is made with a short handle, a round base, and a round piece of soft foam. The handle is made from a 1-inch wood dowel. A short piece, about 1.5 inches long, is about right. There's nothing sacred about using a dowel for the handle. If you have a piece of rectangular stock, then use it. The easiest way to make the plunger base is to use a hole saw and cut a circular plug from thin stock. I'm using a 2-inch hole saw and cutting 1/8 inch luan, a type of plywood. Any thin stock would work. A hole saw will give you a perfect circle on the cutout. Hole saws are available in a wide number of diameters in 1/8 inch increments. You should be able to find one that is very close to the size you need. That's one of the nice things about the size of the container we used. A 2-inch hole saw plug is just about bang on. A little sanding and we are done. The next step is to assemble the plunger's handle and base. Use a little bit of glue or silicone to hold the base to the handle. Since I already have the silicone out, that is what I'm using. Drill a pilot hole into the end of the handle. Then a number 6 1/2 inch wood screw completes the assembly. Finally, we need to cut a foam plug for the plunger. Trace the outline of the wood plunger base on the foam and roughly cut out the plug. Don't use a hard foam such as styrofoam or styrene. Soft foam that is used for packaging is what you want. If you don't have any handy, go to your recycling center and get it there. The foam plug should be about 3/4 inch thick. If the foam you have is thicker, you can cut it with a knife. A serrated bread knife works well. Then press firmly down on the foam with the plunger and trim away any excess. The plug should easily slide up and down the tube, but yet have a snug fit. To attach the foam to the plunger, I simply smear on a fairly thick layer of silicone to the base. And stick on the foam plug. Nothing to it. Well, there you have it. A queen marking cup completed in just over 8 minutes. Even if you don't raise your own queens, having a queen marking cup is a handy gadget to have. You never know when you will run across a queen that needs marking. And with a queen marking cup, the job is simple. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again in the Beekeepers Workshop.